Hey guys, Timelapse Boy 63 here, and today I'm going to be talking about a process of me replacing a limiter and a ceiling fan because I got to think about it, and this issue annoyed the heck out of my family. And so we decided to do research. We compiled a lot of stuff together, and I eventually was able to figure out the issue. So I'm just going to tell you what the issue was. It was this limiter. And I'm going to tell you how to fix it and what the causes were. So, let's just use this fan as an example. Now, this fan was not the one that this thing failed in. This fan still has a limiter. This one doesn't. But, this is what was going on. With the fan that had a failed limiter, it was just doing this. And then it would like speed up. And just kind of like that. Except it would not stay on. It would just keep flashing. That was me manually doing it with a switch. But just so you kind of get a reference, that's what would happen. The fan was working perfectly. The lights, however, would just keep flickering and flashing like that. Little did I know it would be this little guy causing it. And what you have to do is, again, this is not the example of the. This is not the fan that I took this thing out of, so this one still has a limiter. But you have to take down this light kit assembly. And if you look up here, you can see a screw there. A screw there. And then a screw there. You have to take out those 3 screws. Well, you really only have to take out that one there, and then just loosen these other ones, since you see how it has a twist connect. Not every fan has that. But with fans that do have a twist connect, you only have to fully remove one of them. The other ones can just stay in place, but get loosened. Some fans, however, do have to completely have all 3 of them taken out. The one that I took this limiter out of had to have all 3 taken out. But the cool thing is, you don't have to take down the whole fan's assembly. You normally just have to take down the light kit, because the limiter is inside this little housing. But what happens is, that limiter causes the fan to, well, the lights just flash like that. And signs of a bad limiter are, well, if your lights are flashing like that. So other times, a bad limiter like this won't even give power to the lights. And a bad limiter won't be like where just one bulb, like this. If one bulb is out and the others are lit, that does not mean you have a bad limiter. That's just a bad bulb. But a bad limiter would be, for example, if no matter what you did, you couldn't get any of the lights to turn on. Like all 3 of these, the whole entire assembly will not turn on at all. Another example is where it's like super dim. These are all examples of a bad limiter, which again is this thing. And what you have to do is, you can either choose to replace the limiter or just take it out. Now, my ceiling fan is an older type of a ceiling fan, the one that this limiter failed in. I could not find a replacement limiter. So this thing here, I had to just take it out. Now, we are paying attention to the bulbs that we put in the fan, because these bulbs here, each socket has a rating of how much it can handle. Without a limiter, there is a chance of you overloading that socket. Because what this limiter did was, if you put too powerful of a bulb in, this limiter cut power to that bulb in order to make it safe and not overheat the wires and stuff. So it's a safety measure you're taking out by not having a limiter. But your lights don't even work with the limiter in there. If they don't work with the limiter in there, then why have it in there? Just make sure you have bulbs that are the right rating and rated for the sockets. if you can see, like, for example, this one here, it says what the rating is. Up in there. $60 A 60-watt bulb is the max, and these are 40-watt LEDs. But for this fan here, 60 watts are the max. For the one that was in my kitchen, well, dining room actually, for the fan set at my dining room, which is where this one is from, it was rated for 40 watts. And we have 40-watt bulbs in there that were flashing, so that's how we knew for sure this limiter had gone bad. Now, if you have flashing bulbs or they don't turn on, that does not automatically mean you have a bad limiter. Kind of going off of what I just said, if you put too powerful bulbs in here, you will get cases where it does this. But if it's doing that with the bulbs that came with the fan, like, for example, these light bulbs came with this ceiling fan here. If it's doing it with these bulbs here, then you know something's wrong with that limiter. And if you try replacing it with stuff below the rating, so like, say, again, these are 60-watt sockets. If I were to put 40-watt bulbs in there, and they're still flashing, that's how you know this thing's bad. Because even though this thing is supposed to be controlling how much power is getting to it, it's not even letting enough power get to the bulb. So it's just kind of a bunch of troubleshooting that you have to go through. Now, once you figure out that your limiter is bad, you have to make the decision whether just to take it out or replace it. Now, again, we didn't have a choice because we could not find the replacement part online, and we didn't want to replace the whole fan because it's a fairly nice Harbor Breeze fan. So what we did was we just decided to take out the limiter in total, and it's been working ever since. I did this, like, I don't even know, 5 years ago. We haven't had a single issue. Yeah, it's just, it works perfectly. And then the other thing is that, oh, there I am with the limiter. Again, you are removing a safety feature if you take this out. But at the same time, you're making your fan work again. So just keep in mind that you have to pay attention to the bulbs that you put in your fan. Do not overload it. Just, if you put too powerful of a bulb in there, it most likely is not going to trip your breaker because of a bulb not taking up that many amps. But it could still melt the wires. So if you have an arc fault breaker, that's when that could help out. An arc fault breaker, basically, if there's any sort of melting or loose connections, it'll trip at the panel. But if you don't have those, that's, I mean, again, as long as you pay attention to the assembly and put the right bulbs in there that are rated for what the fan says it's rated for, you'll be fine. Don't overthink of this. It'll be okay. But just, okay, if it says a 60-watt max, you could put a 60-watt in there or lower. If it says 80-watt max, you can put an 80-watt bulb in there or lower. That's just kind of how it works. You can't put a 100-watt bulb in a 60-watt socket. That's when this thing is supposed to kick in and limit the current to it. But as we know now, this thing was not doing its job as it was limiting the current to bulbs that were within its rating. Because again, this one was rated for 40 watts. And this thing was dimming and making 40-watt bulbs flash, which means this thing was bad. The capacitors in this limiter or whatever, because there is a little motherboard in there. I don't know how well you can see that. I don't really know exactly what's going wrong with it, but something must have just got fried over time. But yeah, that's the fix to this. Just take out the limiter, and then your lights will work just like this again. Yeah. The hardest part is honestly taking the fan down for the light kit. Because again, all you have to do is just take out those screws here, and this thing drops down. once you have that drop down, I'll try to include a picture somewhere on the screen here. But you'll have a bunch of different ports inside there. There will be a connector. So when this part drops down, there will be a connector that holds this piece to the fan assembly. It should be like a clip or something. Disconnect that. Sometimes there's two of them. Sometimes there's one. It's different for each fan. Just disconnect that clip. And then once that's disconnected, you can lift this down. And just when you take down this light kit by taking out those screws, set it on a flat surface. For example, put a towel down here and then set it on top of that. That will just protect the globes more. And then you'll get to the electronics inside this part here, which is where you will find this. And the limiter looks different in each fan, so look it up for your specific model. And this fan here, I actually think is much smaller. I think the limiter in this Hunter fan is a lot smaller than this Harbor Breeze one. Well, this actually is a Hunter limiter that was in a Harbor Breeze fan, so I don't know what's up with that. But, I know in this fan, the limiter is like extremely tiny. It's just like the size of an M&M, if that comparison helps you out. But here you can see there's a huge difference. So look it up for your fan model. But there will be a limiter in these. And if they're flash like that. Now, one last note. With these ceiling fans, not every single fan has a limiter. I can't remember the exact date, but super old fans do not have limiters. They just have power going directly to the bulbs. And then this is the only thing that controls them. The reason they started including limiters is because wires start melting. Or it's just another safety feature. So that's the reason they started putting limiters in these fans, to limit the current to the bulbs. I'll try to include some pictures in here that kind of help walk you through the insides of this. And as you can see with this here, there's just two connectors on this one. And these two connectors just clip apart. And that's what separated this from there. Because what kind of happened was, if I can set this up, I just connected these together just because, I mean, this thing's never going to be used again. But you have one end bringing power in, and then you have the other end sending power out. Like neutrals being returns or whatever, common. But what I basically did was I took these connectors off, and then I just simply clipped them together with the light pieces. I know this does not make any sense, probably. Here, hold up. So, I disconnected these so I can show you what I mean. These here will connect in a circuit, and what you do is you disconnect everything that's in relation to the limiter's circuit. In some cases, you may have to cut wires, untwist some wire connectors or wire guts, and then just retwist them without the limiter. In this case, it was easy, because all I had to do was just unclip these, and then instead of clipping the light kit through the limiter, I just clip the light. I just connected the light kit directly to the power. Because here's what happened. The power from the house goes into the limiter, and then gets sent out to the switch here, which controls the light. What I did was, I just bypassed this, and connected the house's power directly to the switch here, which then goes to the light. So that's what I liked about having these quick connects here. I could just disconnect them, and then just clip the light ones together in the fixture itself. Again, every fixture is different. Look up the instructions for yours. But yeah, flashing lights, any sort of weird light problem, was happy with all of the sockets. Again, if it's just one socket, most likely a bad bulb. But if it's happy with all of them, and it's a recently new fan, or made after 2005, I think is the cutoff date, I'm not too sure, it's most likely a limiter that's gone bad. I hope this video has helped you. If it has, please comment, like, and subscribe. I am always interested in reading about stuff that you guys go through. It makes my days. Anyways, peace out, everyone. Have a great day.